Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to briefly pay tribute to the historical significance of today, the anniversary of our attack on Pearl Harbor that launched America into World War II and changed the trajectory of history from that point forward. It's particularly reflective. I know many of us had the opportunity to serve with Representative Gary Glenn, former representative, and his wife Annette as well. Gary's dad was a Pearl Harbor veteran and was a young, probably 17 or 18 years old when Pearl Harbor happened, and he would tell the story of his dad's experience there. And his dad's best friend died at Pearl Harbor at 17 years old, and the sacrifice you think about that took for that young man. In my own district, we have a heroic example of Francis Flaherty, who was a young ensign in the Navy. Grew up in Charlotte, Michigan, actually went to the same church that my family now attends today at St. Mary's in Charlotte, where my children attend school. He was 22 years old. He was an ensign on the USS Oklahoma, and he sacrificed his life for others to escape the ship as it was sinking. And his remains were unrecovered for nearly 80 years after he died on the ship. They actually recovered his remains, but the technology at the time did not allow them to positively identify them. So he was originally entombed in a grave that was marked unknown. And then through technology over the ensuing decades, they were able to identify his remains. He had a funeral in Michigan after he died, and then later was awarded the Medal of Honor, our nation's highest military honor that can be awarded. And I wanted to read his Medal of Honor citation for conspicuous devotion to duty and extraordinary courage and complete disregard of his own life above and beyond the call of duty during the attack on the fleet in Pearl Harbor by Japanese forces on 7 December 1941. When it was seen that the USS Oklahoma was going to capsize and the order was given to abandon ship, Ensign Flaherty remained in a turret holding a flashlight so the remainder of the turret crew could see to escape, thereby sacrificing his own life. And you might recall last year I spoke at this podium as we did a memorial highway bill in honor of Ensign Flaherty as his remains were repatriated and brought back to Charlotte, Michigan. And I will tell you of the experiences I've had in this term of service that I've had, I was never more proud to represent a community than to witness the outpouring of people that came to line the streets of Charlotte as his remains were brought through town and entombed in a cemetery in Charlotte for people that had never even met him in their life, just to pay tribute to the sacrifice that he had made. And it's something that, as a community, we are deeply proud of and wanted to recognize that. We lost over 400,000 brave men and women in World War II in the pursuit of freedom and liberty for people around the world. And that started 81 years ago today at Pearl Harbor. I also wanted to just briefly mention Don Calizzi, a member of the Charlotte community who kept the memory of Ensign Flaherty alive and was instrumental in bringing together the events of laying him to rest about a year and a half ago in the summer of 2021 when we brought him back home. And really wanted to just reflect on that today. Certainly this is a day that changed the course of history, and wanted to reflect and respect all of those who made a sacrifice, certainly including Ensign Flaherty. Thank you, Mr. President.